One out there. Hopefully everyone's having a great Monday. Again, April Fool's Day. No April Fool's Day jokes here on this side for now. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D Globe on this, what's about 11:13 a.m. California time, still morning, April 1st, 2024. A few days off from the eclipse. We'll check out the cloud cover forecast here in a little bit. Latest activity looks like a 3.0 into the southern California region here, a little bit further south from that three-pointer that we seen yesterday. So that is just off of the Elsinore Fault, the southern end. This 3.0 coming in, about half an hour or so ago. It does look like a few folks reported feeling it locally. It is away from any populated regions. Had this been underneath San Diego or Los Angeles, the reports would probably be much higher. But specifically out there in this region of California, it doesn't look like there's a huge population density in this area. A lot of desert out there. Far as the rest of the activity goes, looks like another one coming in just to the north of this activity, a little bit closer to the San Andreas Fault here. This is off of the San Jacinto Fault Zone. We did have one earthquake here about 3 o'clock this morning just off of the San Andreas Fault on the North American side of the plate boundary. So keeping an eye on it. Things appear to be kicking up here in the last 24 hours across the Southern California area. Further up north, across the Ridgecrest area, looks like some movement coming in there as well with a 2.5 just after 1 o'clock this morning local time here. Northern California, not a whole lot showing up here across the area. We did see a little bit of movement out here into the Gorda Ridges once again. Of course, we did see 5.7 out here recently, right? In this mix of earthquake activity. Well, 5.6. It looks like they may have downgraded it a little bit. Also, a couple other earthquakes in there. Divergent boundary activity, same for up here today, so we'll continue to watch this area around the Cascadia subduction zone. This one this morning is a little bit further up north, but still within this area, just shy of the Cascadia megathrust area. Definitely looks like it's still somewhat active here, so we'll keep an eye on that area. Up into the Pacific Northwest here, looks like they did have a little bit of movement last night, 2.8 outside of the Seattle area. About 24 kilometers deep or so. And a little spike of an earthquake here across Mount St. Helens. Nothing going on there for now in terms of larger scale movement. And nothing going on through Yellowstone. Let's double check that though. It has been awfully quiet. I don't see any major swarming going on. I see a little earthquake activity. It's going to be this one here and maybe a couple other spikes, but really nothing of any major concern. The rest of the country, as you can see, fairly quiet. Out here across the southeastern, well, this says a northeastern Pacific Rise. Northeastern Pacific Rise area. Okay, that was from last night. Actually, this morning it looks like. So we did see some further activity here. Let me bring back the last 7 days. Okay, maybe this was the activity I was thinking about a little bit further south here along the plate boundary. Some fracture zones out here. Same for this area. It's an interesting little earthquake activity event this morning, a 5.3 and a 4.5. We've been seeing a lot of divergent activity out here across this area of the eastern Pacific plate here. We'll continue to watch regions around the Middle America Trench that could kick things up further in that area. Might have something to do with the broad scale elevated activity here across Southern California as well. All right, further down south into the South America region here, handful of smaller quakes, really nothing big, just deeper and subsequent shallower earthquake activity coming in there to the South America region. New Zealand, threes once again, up and down the plate boundary it looks like. Another super deep earthquake there into the Tonga region. That's going to be this earthquake right about here, 4.4, 566 kilometers deep. This five-pointer, or this five-pointer here is from yesterday. It's literally about 2 minutes from dropping off the 24-hour threshold. That's why it's not showing up here on the globe anymore, because it's past that 24-hour window. Further out and about here across the Indonesia Islands area, Maluku Sea region, Seen quite a few 2s and 3s out here, but this is all very common on any given day. No major movement to report there across that area. As far as the Pacific, Western Pacific over here across Japan, looks fairly quiet. Not too much coming in here today. Same for the Aleutian Trench. A little bit of activity up in Alaska right now, but it doesn't look like there's a whole bunch to chat about. There's a 4-pointer just after midnight, 57 kilometers deep. That was following this event yesterday, a 4-pointer surface adjustment up here. But it does look like we're starting to strain this area specifically along the Aleutian Trench. So we'll keep an eye on that area. But for the most part right now, just some 2s and some other smaller quakes up there north of Anchorage. Let's see what else we got. Hawaii, looks like they're stacking up earthquakes out here. So let's see what's going on out there in the middle of the Pacific. Most of the activity looks like it is in a little cluster here across the Kilauea volcano. A couple 2s and some 1s stirring up out there, so I guess we better go double check that and see what's going on. Let's go back to the volcano site here. We'll get to space weather here in just a minute. We're going to go to Kilauea volcano and take a look at some graphs out here, because it does look like things are getting a little elevated out here. There's the earthquake activity and the circles here. Let me check one of these seismograph stations, see what's going on. Most of those are some very small quakes. I think a lot of these are from yesterday, right? 3:30. Yeah, a lot of these are from yesterday, a couple today. But for the most part, that activity barely showing up here on the graph. A couple in the last few hours, some from yesterday as well. Doesn't look like anything major, but definitely a little interesting tail going on here from the summit off to the southeastern area, southeast rift zone over here. As far as the tilt meter goes, deformation data, let's bring this up. Looks like we're going down. Pretty sharp downward spike or downward trend here over the last week. That has been following the obvious stair-stepping event that we've been seeing here over the past month. And so we should come up if the models continue to follow one another like they have been for the last few months or so. We'll continue to see stair-stepping event. Although we're not up at the level of what we were before when the summit was highly inflated, we are gradually going up though. But we did get a large displacement of magma from the south, or from the summit area off to the southwest rift zone months ago here, but it looks like we're starting to recharge the area. So we'll continue to watch that, but looks like for now things are fairly quiet out there. There's another seismograph station there showing some of that activity from yesterday and a little bit from today. All right. And aside from that, most of this movement in the last hour is across the Pahala area, stretching out kind of towards the Loihi Seamount. A couple 2s down there, about 38 kilometers deep. See what else we got. Looks pretty quiet out here across Europe and Asia area. As far as any smaller quakes go, yeah, there's a handful of smaller quakes. There's almost always earthquake activity occurring around the globe in any single area. And the reason why maybe we're not seeing earthquakes down across, this plate boundary, or maybe some other areas across Russia, is because I don't have all of those agencies tied in here on the globe. If we did, it would be a huge clutter ball, probably looking something like that. And it's hard to see what's going on when you got this many earthquakes on the globe. So I try to just stick with the majority of the areas in the last 24 hours. If there's an interesting swarm area, say for like down in New Zealand or something, I'll key up GeoNet servers. But for the most part, the EMSC does a good job of covering the earthquake activity down here across New Zealand. All right, what else we got? Puerto Rico, Iceland up here, seeing some earthquake activity north here. So let's go check that out. Across the Iceland site. Everything looks like it's good working now. The microphone had a little issue earlier, but we fixed it. 3.4 coming in, and a decent swarm up here north. That's a decent swarm. across this rift boundary up here. Let's see what we got. You got any GPS stations in that area? See, this is a ways away from the area that I'm normally monitoring down here across Grindavik. This is way on the north side of Iceland. Definitely looks like we got some activity stirring up out here. Pretty active in the last 12 hours, along with these 2s and 3s kicking up here in this area. The region of Grindavik down here, fairly quiet in terms of earthquake activity. Last time I checked, we were still in eruption stage. We'll check out one of the webcams here from live from Iceland. Still showing one active vent here, it looks like. In the nighttime, you can see a little bit more splashing. There's another, I just seen a glimpse of it right there. So things are still flowing from the deeper areas below. We're not getting all that eruptive, major, dramatic fountaining with any of the ongoing activity right now because there's no pressure built up underneath the area. We're basically getting a free flow of magma from below up to the surface. These are little holes in the surface where the magma can freely flow and create these lava fields out here. But the activity way up north here, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on it. It's way away from the area, but this whole region is nothing but volcanoes and rift zones. But there's a distinct, specific area up here showing some elevated movement. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Let's see if there's anything going on with the Icelandic Met Office here. Going to be this one right here. This is put out from a few days ago, it looks like. Yeah, so really no new update here at all. Doesn't look like any mention of the activity up north here that they're showing on this map. So we'll continue to watch it. Either way, Iceland continuing to stay active and could see it get more active as we head into the future there with those active rift zones. All right, space weather activity, and then we'll get into the cloud cover percentage possibilities here for the eclipse in a few days. Space weather has drastically dropped down. You can see in the solar flare chart here, down below the C flare category, it looks like. Pretty level. Now that the active region, 3615, is no longer in sight, we have a whole lot of very weak sunspots. And they're really not even, I wouldn't, well, they're sunspots, but they are very tiny and not active. If you look on the visible disk here, you can see what I mean. Look at this little dot. Barely anything going on here across the Earth-facing side of the sun. So with that, 99% chance for a C flare, maybe. If we're lucky, M flare at 10, I doubt that. C flare at, or X flare at 1. Yeah, pretty low minimal conditions out here. Not a whole lot of hope in the Aurora department here, unfortunately. Things look fairly green across the board, meaning that there's not going to be a whole lot of greenery in the sky. All right, GFS models. Make sure I got the most recent run here. This is going to be April 1st, 12Z time, so this is the most recent one. And we're going to go check out the date of April 8th at about 15Z when the eclipse will be going on here, folks. And it's still showing consistency. And in fact, a little bit more filling in here across the Ohio area. New York State still looks fairly decent up here with a very minimal cloud cover. It looks like almost complete clarity for the eclipse. Up in the Maine as well. So this might be the region that people will be flocking to catch this eclipse, because it doesn't look like it's going to happen out here across Texas, southeast Oklahoma, Arkansas, Illinois, Ohio, maybe in certain areas. But, you know, this is definitely a mood dampener in terms of the, you know, everyone was pretty excited to maybe be able to see this event, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. It's staying fairly consistent here with each model run. And we can check out the ECMWF model, which covers clouds as well. On the April 8th time period, about 11 a.m. West Coast time here will be what we're looking for out here in Texas as far as the time goes. This is going to be 11 a.m. here, 1 p.m. out in the central time. So a lot of cloud cover. This doesn't have the eclipse on it, but it roughly goes from about here all the way up into this area. So as you can see, there's still quite a bit of cloud cover, thicker down here across Texas with that Gulf moisture funneling in. And there is definitely going to be some severe weather threat out there around the April 8th time period. Look at that moisture just funneling in from the Gulf and associated with the subtropical jet out here as well. Just going to make it a super cloudy day and rain. And, that's definitely a bummer. We'll continue to check back on it. Each model run, of course, will be more consistent, right, as we're getting closer to that time period. Far as the West Coast goes, we do have another storm system out here bringing some colder air and some more rain and snow to California, including Southern California down here. Pretty decent weather and a decent winter and a wet spring so far. That's going to stir up the potential for some severe weather, it looks like, on the this weekend. And then, of course, as we get close to the April 8th time period, that's going to funnel in as well with some moisture. Another system behind that, it looks like here in California around the April 14th time period. That's a pretty decent looking storm there. And, it does look like it's going to stay fairly wet out here for a good portion of April. And a lot of times out here in California, we hear that saying called April showers bring May flowers. Most of the time that's not the case here, because by May, we're already in the 90s and sometimes hundreds out here in California. And, we didn't get any rain all April, so on quite a few years. So that saying, April showers bring May flowers, don't always ring true out here in California, but I think that might be the case this year. I like it. I don't mind the rain. All right. Yeah, so that's definitely a bummer. The COD model here will show the same thing as we check out the cloud cover out here for the April 8th time period. We don't even have to go that far anymore, so basically right about here, as you can see, a lot of cloud cover out here. There's a little breakage right here north, but that's not even anywhere near the eclipse line. Just complete cloud cover stretching up here, except for up north. So that may be the spot to go. I unfortunately am not going to drive from California all the way over here. There's probably not even any flights open right now to cover that. That's a cross-country trip. I was going to drive down here to Texas and view it outside of this little area here, but it doesn't look like it, folks. It doesn't look like that's going to take place, unfortunately. But we'll continue to watch it, right? Hopefully something will change, but I doubt it. All these models are consistent, and most of the time they wouldn't make a major change out here from all these model runs of consistency. It just doesn't happen like that. All right, I think that's about it. Severe weather out there today is a moderate risk. They included a pretty heavy-duty moderate risk for some severe weather, mainly across Oklahoma. Look at that. A decent chance here of... it's not working. Let me bring this up. Make sure we're still up and running. Oh, no, we're not. Goodness. Back down to 0 KBs here for some reason. Not for sure what's going on. But come on, kick on. That's really weird. Okay, let's see, are we still live? Are we still live, or did I lose the live stream? Okay, it looks like we're still live right now. It looks like we're live still, but goodness, that was close. It looks like someone was trying to bring me down again. See, it's always when I'm doing my updates. Always someone having fun out here, pulling the strings. I don't know how they're doing it still. I've been dealing with it for a couple years now as I live stream. A lot of times it goes off early in the morning when I'm sleeping. When I wake up and the stream's down, but Yeah, this had dropped down to about, this was at 0, so I couldn't get any output there from the upload packets or the downloads. I wonder if it started acting up on this page, Space Weather Prediction Center. As soon as I clicked on this, that's when things went down. Really weird. So I don't know. Really, somebody's behind it. It just doesn't do that automatically. There's no issues here with my internet in terms of my router, my modem. All my wires are good. The computer is good. It just seems like something or someone is behind it. All right, let's cover this tornado potential out here because it's kind of a big deal. There is a moderate risk for some severe weather that's just below the high category. So this is kind of a big deal. You got the tornado threat out there. I think the main threat's going to be some very large hail. Look at that. That is up there in the 45% area. That is way up there, and it is in the hatched area. So we're looking at Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Norman, Lawton area. Goodness. Might be seeing some baseballs flying out of the sky here today. Severe thunderstorms with very large hail, 2 to 3 inch diameter or greater. So that's a big deal. We could be talking about maybe softball size hail. So when you have that hail falling through the sky with 80 mile per hour winds, that's a big deal out there. So I think a lot of the car dealerships are going to be scrambling to get their vehicles in. I don't know how they do that. I don't know if they just leave it out and then cover the damage with insurance, or if they sell it cheap. I don't know. But if I owned a car dealership out there, I'd be putting my vehicles inside somehow. A little crazy. So definitely got a huge severe weather threat today with the hail damage. The tornado threat is, don't ignore this. That covers Oklahoma as well, including Oklahoma City area. It is in a 10% hatched area. That means that there is a 10% or greater probability of seeing these very strong tornadoes up to an EF5 within about a 25-mile point. So just a heads up, folks, today into the evening. Right, look at this. Expected this afternoon into tonight from North Texas and Oklahoma and into the lower Ohio River Valley. So just keep something on. Keep a weather radio on. Keep your local radio station on maybe. That way you can get notified when tornado warnings are issued out here. I think the best thing is make sure you have your alerts on your phone enabled, right? Because when I'm out here chasing severe weather during my storm chasing events, I get notified of a severe thunderstorm warning in my area or tornado warning in my area via my phone, and it wakes you up. So definitely a good thing to have if you're out here today. Big time severe weather threat, folks. All right, I'm out of here. Like I say, I don't know why it does that. It's just a little weird, and it happened soon as I visited this page. But the question is, where did I come from? Which site was that? I don't remember. But anyway, all right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. It's Monday. Got quite a few things I got to do here. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening, unless something major happens. Stay safe. Be weather aware out there today. And have a good Monday.